Thank you all for joining our Dolby U intern info session. We hope that you were able to attend our panel talk with Rhonda and Samir earlier. In this session, we're going to be going over a general overview of the Dolby U internship program, how to apply and best represent yourself as an applicant, and we'll leave some time for questions at the end. I see that Anita has joined us now, so we can go ahead and introduce ourselves.
Hi, everybody. My name is Anita Stokes. Sorry, it's been one of those crazy little afternoons. But I'm the Senior University Relations Programming Manager, and I've been at Dolby now for about three plus years. So definitely happy to be here. My background has been a combination of being sort of in the entertainment technology space, worked a lot with games companies, including Electronic Arts, EA back in the day, Sony, PlayStation, also worked at Lucasfilm, Apple, and Pandora. But I'm happy to be here at Dolby and working with my wonderful team of Nina and Amy. And I don't know, Amy, if you could go to that next slide because I can introduce Nina, who's actually leading another session with some of our early career talent folks. But Nina actually started off as one of my interns at PlayStation. And just to show you the value of networking, she was wonderful in that she was, she just left a great impression. And then she went on to have some opportunities in recruiting at a medical company, a pharmaceutical company, and then joined Pixar. But I was able to lure her from Pixar to join me at PlayStation. She's been here for about 2 years now. So really happy to have her on board as well. Back to you, Amy.
And my name is Amy Lee. I'm an associate recruiter and the newest member of the University Relations team. This is actually my first recruiting role. I have a background in architecture. Found out that wasn't really for me, so I jumped ship and here I am. So life can take you anywhere.
So Dolby U. So this is how we've branded ourselves as Dolby U. We have a year-round internship program. So rather than just being in the summer, we have fall and then winter, spring opportunities for interns. And this is just, once again, our chance to create a talent pipeline for the future. What we're finding is, as you hopefully have learned about Dolby, we have a lot of opportunities. And for our early career talent, this is a great way to learn about or sort of learn about a career, try it on for size, but then also for us to see if this is a potential match, because we are often hiring a lot of our interns and converting them into early career talent and full-time employees. So with that, I'll throw it back to you, Amy, to talk a little bit about the Dolby U program.
Yeah. So one of the most important focuses of our internship program is that we offer real work experience. So all of our interns that we hire will be working alongside their teams on projects that are actually contributing to the business. So no, you won't be asked to fetch the virtual coffee or file papers during your internship. You'll actually be doing real work. And all of our internships are paid at a competitive market rate. So that's always an added bonus. And during the duration of each of our internships can be anywhere between 3 to 6 months with the possibility for extensions depending on the role. We have offices in San Francisco, Sunnyvale, Burbank, and once every blue moon, we have one in Ozark, Missouri. Random, very random, but we do have a manufacturing office there. But due to COVID, all of our internships for the foreseeable future will be 100% remote. But now that vaccines are going to be more commonly available, we're going to start looking at the transition of internships to being back on site. And all students are eligible to apply for our internships as long as you're currently enrolled in a college or university in the United States. So we'll take students anywhere in their first year all the way up to their master's and PhD students. We'll also accept recent grads who've graduated within 6 months of the internship start date. But due to COVID, we've extended that date to 1 year or 12 months since from the internship start date. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about our programming. So we have adapted all of our intern programming to be completely virtual so that you can still get the full Dolby U experience even if we're not on site. Our programming is split up into three different pillars. We have our educational, civic engagement, and social pillars. So, for our educational programming, we recognize that for some of you, this might be your first corporate job. So, we really want to be able to give you as many opportunities to develop professionally as possible. As an intern, you'll be able to have some face time with some of our executive leaders. Like if you had seen our keynote, Steve Roche is one of our executive leaders at Dolby, and our closing remarks will be led by Giles Baker, who is another executive leader at Dolby. And you'll have the chance to learn a little bit more about them and ask any questions about the industry and their individual career paths. We'll also be introducing you to different Dolby employees in different business groups to give you a feel for the work that Dolby does as a whole and glimpses of our company culture. We don't want you to be stuck with seeing the same five faces or however many people are on your team every day. We want you to be able to explore the different people that work at Dolby and understand what we do outside of your own team. And moving on to civic engagement, I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with the different districts in San Francisco, but Dolby headquarters are located in a neighborhood called the Tenderloin. If you are familiar with the Tenderloin, put a +1 in the chat just so I know how familiar everyone is in the audience. Great, I'm seeing a couple of +1s in the chat. So some of you might recognize the area and you'll know that this neighborhood can be a little bit rough around the edges. And we ourselves recognize that we're this billion-dollar tech company who smacked itself right in the middle of that neighborhood. So we have an entire team dedicated to giving back to our community. And as an intern class, we'll be doing a virtual volunteer event where we'll work with our community relations team to find different opportunities for you to give back to our local community. And last but not least, we have our social programming because at the end of the day, we want you to enjoy your time here at Dolby. So we know that it's tough to build relationships with people that you've never met in person. So we'll be hosting socials as as a chance for you to get to know your fellow intern cohort. A lot of these could be anywhere like a virtual movie night or game night where we'll play popular games like Among Us. I don't know if that fad has died down now, but we can play Among Us, Pictionary, Jackbox, etc.
I thought it was fun.
And it was very fun. We have internships available all across our different business groups and departments, and availability of different internships will really depend on the business needs at the time. But to go through these real quick, we have our Advanced Technology Group, or ATG, which is kind of like our R&D or Research and Development group. And then we have our Consumer Entertainment Group, or CEG, which is our largest business group and where the bulk of our internships will be. So CEG will take ideas from ATG and figure out how to make them revenue generating. So they're more of the implementation part of the business. And then next we have cinema and finance, which are a little bit more straightforward. And workplace solutions, which is our facilities team. And we have IT, legal, marketing, and our people functions. And lastly, we have VIA licensing, which is a subsidiary of Dolby. All right. And we have just about wrapped up our recruiting for summer 2021 internships, but keep an eye out for our new posting for our fall internship opportunities. These internships will be posted around late July, so make sure to check out our careers page around then. So this is just a timeline of what our general sessions will look like, when the jobs will be posted, when the hiring decisions will be made, the program start and end dates. These differ year to year, but this is just the general time frame for your reference. Okay, now I will go over how to apply. So to apply, you can visit our career site at careers.dolby.com. And the best way to filter for internships is to type intern into the keyword field and then type US in the location field. So please keep in mind that we are a global company, so there might be some job listings for our offices in different countries, like our Poland offices or our Beijing offices, that might not be relevant to your personal search. And if you haven't already, please make sure to check out our booth. So at our booth, and I believe on slide 3, you will be able to find a link to our sign-up sheet. And this sheet is our mailing list that we'll use to notify folks for when we post our next available opportunities.
Great.
Okay, kicking it over to Anita.
Perfect. So how do you best represent yourself as an applicant? I know getting your foot in the door is top of everyone's mind, especially in today's extremely competitive job market. So we want to share a few tips and tricks that will help you best represent yourself as an applicant. First, make sure to research the companies you're applying to and any of the positions that interest you. If you get any type of interview with a company, you should definitely do your homework. Don't apply to every single job that is posted. I know if you're doing this, we will know and we will not be impressed. Only apply to jobs that you're actually interested in, or at least are somewhat qualified for. And this also means you should have potentially 3 or 4 different resumes. I know it's like, oh man, it's more work. But in general, once again, if you have some technical skills, if you have creative skills, you're probably going to have 2 different resumes, and making sure that you're highlighting the skills and projects that are technical and the skills and projects that are creative in that space. And particularly if you're a non-tech person, like maybe you're interested in marketing, be sure to include any relevant information, like if you have a portfolio, if you have writing samples, things like that, that would help you stand out from everybody else who's applying. When you're working on application materials, work backwards from the job description. Cannot stress this enough. Companies are not trying to fool you with job descriptions. If there's any specific qualifications in the job description, make sure that you have a bullet point in your resume that speaks to that qualification. So for example, if a job description calls for knowledge of C or C++, make sure that that's on your resume. For interviews, come prepared with examples of specific times where you've exhibited each qualification. One thing to note about technical roles is that they're usually targeted for either vision or audio for us. So not all software engineering roles are the same. So make sure that you read the job description. Personal and academic projects, those also count, at least for our entry level and internship opportunities. And then note the style of the company and match your materials. And lastly, differentiate yourself from other applicants by adding extracurricular activities you're involved in, like clubs, organizations, volunteer work to your resume. You may include a short list of hobbies and interests that will help you stand out. Interest in music, the games industry, or entertainment and technology in general will help you stand out. And one last thing I'll add, today we're actually co-sponsors of Adobe and Dolby, and we often get confused. It's really surprising. If you're writing a cover letter, make sure that, it's really easy to get very caught up in the material. So proofread. And don't always rely on spell check. Have somebody else maybe look at it, because you're so close to it, you might not realize, hey, I'm applying to both companies. And, we want to know that you're first in our hearts. We know you're applying to other places, but when you're applying and using your cover letters and things like that, make sure it has Dolby listed. All right, or whatever company it is that you're applying to. LinkedIn, and is that important? And yes, it is. I'd say most of our recruiters are on LinkedIn pretty consistently. And so your LinkedIn profile is a way to supplement your resume. So generally, you want to keep your resume to 1 to 2 pages max. You'll be putting most of your recent and relevant experiences on there. So step 1, add a photo. I was very reluctant to do this myself, but my team convinced me, I think within the last year, I needed to do so, and I finally did. And profiles with a photo get 21 times more profile views than photo with profiles that do not have them. So your photo should be of you alone, from your shoulders up, neutral background, and a professional clothing. Step 2, add your education. Add academic awards, honors, include your activities, your student leadership activities, clubs, positions. Basically, if it's important enough for you to be involved with it, then we'd like to know about it. Once again, list your internships, your summer jobs, your part-time jobs, your student work experience, anything, once again, that is relevant to work that is helping you, someone is paying you for, or not, please include it. Add examples of your work or photos if you have that, and describe what you've accomplished. Add skills. Students, once again, who add 5 or more skills receive up to 17 times more profile views. So add relevant skills that you've acquired from your internships. volunteer experiences, paid job experiences. Once again, your technical and your soft skills. Oftentimes, I know people think, oh, if I'm working at Starbucks or I'm working at a fast food restaurant, it's like, what does that mean? It's just like you deal with the public, and that's not an easy job. So please let us know about that. And oftentimes you're handling money or doing financial transactions, which means someone trusts you enough to handle that. And that says something about you and your character. Consider recommendations from teachers, mentors, and previous managers. People also like to see that people enjoyed working with you and can give a little bit of history about your background. Have a summary. Prime real estate, it's really prime real estate for you to talk about yourself, what motivates you, shows your personality. This is your elevator pitch, and everyone is always encouraged to do that elevator pitch, but what's the key thing with elevator pitch? Keep it focused to your accomplishments and aspirations, and keep it less than 100 words. This is not your time to sort of write your whole biography. This is a chance to just really say, hey, target it. You know, I'm about to graduate, and these are the things I'm really interested in doing with the skill sets that I have. So engage your connection. So definitely connect with folks. Feel free to connect with Amy and I after we're done with this call. But don't treat LinkedIn like Facebook, right? So I have a Facebook account, but believe me, I have very few of my professional contacts on my Facebook account unless they've become friends. So keep your comments and post strictly professional on LinkedIn.
Great. We know we threw a lot of information at you. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop those over into the chat or the Q&A function, and we will go ahead and answer those. One question already in the chat from Smita. What kinds of majors do you look for CEG?
I'd say sometimes the more traditional things that you'll see with CEG. If you went to the last talk with Rhonda and Samir, I know they sort of answered that at the end. I mean, people are doing computer science or electrical engineering. But quite honestly, there's so many things that are coming up within our CEG organization. It's the largest organization at Dolby. And you'll find people who have a variety of backgrounds who are contributing to that, because we have others, but people who are in STEM, but then you'll have people who are in other areas within the liberal arts sometimes, because once again, they feed off of each other as far as trying to get ideas and generate that. But I'd say for the most part, most of them are focused in the technical side of majors. But I think what makes us such a dynamic and company is that we've been able to sort of draw on a variety of fields, because we know that people come from all over, and we want to make sure that we're addressing those sort of research needs, as well as those how to take those products to market. So I know it's kind of a wishy-washy answer, but hopefully that gives you a little bit more of an idea.
Thank you, Anita. We have another question in the chat from Sergio. How strict is the recent college grad rule? It's been a few years since I've graduated college, but I'm deciding to make a career change into the industry. What do you recommend I do to join an entry-level internship?
Great question. So we are trying to keep it fairly strict, because we want to give those students who don't have or haven't had an opportunity to do an internship the opportunity to do so. But we do have entry-level opportunities opening up. I'd once again say anything that highlights whatever that specific role is that you're looking for. So if you're involved in any of the clubs like SIMT or AES or any of the audiovisual clubs at your campus, or have been involved with it on a professional level in the community, that's often helpful. I'd encourage you, if you have a portfolio, if you have a GitHub account, anything that you might have been doing programming-wise, if you're looking at something like that with engineering, we like to see that, that passion for entertainment technology.
I do also want to add to that. So if you are looking to make a career change, and for example, if you come from a non-tech background and you're trying to break into a more technical role, I would recommend maybe taking a boot camp or a class, because that still counts as education, and that would still qualify you for an internship with us at Dolby.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, another question in the chat from Liam. So what are the remote internship working hours at Dolby?
That's a great question. In the sense that we have interns from across the country, we have some students on the East Coast. They'll adjust their times depending on what their team needs. But we're pretty flexible for them. think we give our interns a lot of autonomy, probably than they might expect initially. I mean, there's definitely a ramping up time, but once they have assigned their project and they know what they're working on, it's really up to them how they design their time. But there are meetings periodically throughout the day and things like that. So we're adjusting accordingly, given that we're all working remotely.
Great. Another question. We have a question from Emily. Is there such a thing as putting too many skills on LinkedIn?
Once again, I think the key thing with the skills, and there's a lot of, this is kind of a loaded statement, but it's just like, make sure that you know what you're listing, right? You just don't want to sort of say, hey, well, I may have dabbled a little bit in C++ or Java or some whatever programming language, but I never really used it. If I were to, how to solve a question in it, I couldn't do that. If you don't feel that you're somewhat proficient in it, I would probably not include it. But if you do have like, hey, I'm a editor and I can do things in Avid, I can do things in Premiere, and I can do it in a variety of editing suites, be sure to include that. That's definitely a skill set that will, people like to see. So I think, once again, make sure that you just have some proficiency in it if you're listing it.
Great. Thanks so much. We have a question from George. What specifically are the responsibilities of the cinema division? Sound design or more?
Cinema. So our cinema team is actually pretty interesting. For the internship opportunities that we've gotten for them, it can really range from things with marketing. A lot of our folks right now, because movie theaters are opening up again and we're having some of the releases come out, they're doing the big pushes by trying to get the audience to specifically see these movies in Dolby cinemas. So that's a component of it. We have people who are doing some of the editing in the background for just really quick clips just to show our partners how they can use Atmos and Vision. So they need to come up with quick little sizzle reels to share with the partners. But I think if you're a part of sort of the content creator side of things, that's probably definitely a place to look, as well as our marketing team. We do occasionally have video editing or videographer roles in those groups.
Thank you. We have a question from Cecilia. Oops, the chat just moved on me. I applied to the content production and mobile product management internships for summer 2021 at the beginning of April. My profile says that they are under review. Do I still have a chance at getting one of these?
Great question. We are quickly trying to work in resolving or getting all of our summer roles closed. At this point, there are a few that are still open. There's a few who we extended offers to, but I would say by next week we should have a better understanding of what will be open and what will be closed. So stay tuned. So yeah, I'm so sorry. It's probably taking a little longer for us than usual to close this year, but we do appreciate your patience. And the one thing I'll also say for folks, just if you're interested in the entertainment industry in general, be patient, and no doesn't mean no indefinitely. It means no for right now. So I'd encourage you to continue to apply for any opportunities you see moving forward.
Great. And just want to be cognizant of time, so I'll just answer this next question really quickly from Shelly. Will fall internships be remote? We currently have not decided that yet, and that is TBD. And I think we have time for one last question from Liam. Are there boot camps for researching entertainment tech?
That's a great question. I don't think I know.
Yeah, I am also not aware of anything, but I'm sure if you Google,
Yeah.
Google has the answers.
All knowing Google.
Yeah. And speaking of that, we are right at 1:00 p.m. So thank you everyone for joining us today for our W internship info session. If you have any extra questions or if you want to just keep in touch, feel free to visit our booth, and there is that sign-in sheet that you can sign into to stay in touch with us. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.